and welcome. You have tuned into Buy Now, Sell Now on ET Now. I'm Shrishti Sharma and with me is Vinny Motiwala. And viewers, this is the show where you get answers for all your stock-related queries. In a short while from now, we will connect with our experts where you get a chance to write to us live on a WhatsApp number that will be flashing on the top of your screen, and you can also write to us on our social media pages, which are the Twitter as well as Facebook pages. But with this, let's move on and let's focus what the markets are up to. So Vinny, the cheer is clearly onto the benchmark indices, yet again a record high level.
Absolutely, yet again a record high level. Started at those opening record high levels as well. So yes, Nifty shorty holding on to good gains over there today as well, off the day's highest point, but nonetheless 0.2% gain is what the Nifty is managing to hold on to. Let's pull up the charts for something like a broader market, Nifty mid cap as well as small cap. When you're looking at the Nifty mid cap, it's up 0.2% in trade right now, while the Nifty small cap too is holding on to actually doing better than the mid cap space today. Nifty small cap is up 0.4% in trade as of now. What's holding on to very good gains in terms of sectors, we have energy, metals as well as PSEs. Nifty PSE, Nifty Energy and Nifty Metal. Pull up the charts for that as well. Energy, top sectorial gainer. PSE also among the top sectorial gainer over there. While we have metals, that's holding on to good gains over there as well of 0.8% in trade. Only sector that is, as of now, I can see a couple of sectors that are trading in the red is the Nifty IT as well as the Nifty Pharma. So let's keep an eye out on that. Both these are a bit subdued in trade. We'll be discussing more in terms of the Pharma today sector as well. But a lot of individual movers in trade, you know, whether you look at it today, we have Hindustan Copper, Nalco, HPCL, SAIL, all these stocks are among the top F&O gainer. Petronet LNG also in focus. There was a brokerage, there was a news flow that came in over there as well. So yes, overnight because of the news flow, we're keeping an eye out on Petronet LNG. Rushil Decor 2 in focus today. We have a note that came in from ICICI Securities on the MDF segment and the growth expected there as well. Green Panel among a top mover in trade today as well. 10 to 11% gain at one point of time is what we were seeing coming in for Green Panel as well. So yes, keeping an eye out on these individual stocks as of now, and very interesting names that have actually shaped up today as well. Especially, you know, when you look at it in terms of Cello World, that also they met with some of these brokerages. There were some positive signs in terms of the growth that is expected from the company of around 18 to 20% growth. Going forward in the next couple of years is what they're expecting. So keeping an eye out on Cello World, that's also up 2% in trade as of now as well. So yes, surely seeing very good momentum in terms of the markets and individual names there, Shrishti. But like we said, Pharma, right? That's what we're going to be talking about. They too have a brokerage note. Couple of brokerage notes have come in from the Pharma space. And interesting developments, right? Because in the last 6 months, finally that story seems to be turning around for the Pharma sector, which was quite subdued in trade.
Well, yes, absolutely, Vinny. If you will see that post-COVID, we have seen all these pharma counters doing well. But from mid-2021 till the start of this year, the pharma index was an underperformer that was down around 13%. But since the start of January 2023 till now, the pharma index has gone up around 33%. So a lot of factors that are at play. First of all, the US pricing environment is seen to be improving. The US drug shortage situation at one point in time was at so many elevated levels, was at a multi-year shortage that we have seen in the US, but that has now seen to be drifting lower. Other than that, the India growth has been supportive, though the growth in terms of the percentage terms has been in the single digit, but all these factors were in play for the pharma sector. But that's about the pharma picture for 2023. But for today, we're going to be putting the spotlight on two pharma names. Firstly is Marksans Pharma, where Systematics has come out with a note. Since this company is into a pure play export business, Systematics says that the company is building capacities in their key geographies, that is US, UK and Australia. In terms of the product launches, the company will be coming out with 5 to 8 products across geographies, and along with that, they are also looking to diversify their geographical presence with a new capex plan. Other than that, when we talk about Lupin, this counter is also on the spotlight, as Spark has come out with a note where they have gone ahead and upgraded the rating on this one, where from an ad rating earlier, this is now recommended to be a buy, raised the target price to 1440 rupees. They say that the base business margin levers are playing out for the company. They have improved, or rather raised, their EPS estimates for FY25 to 6%, for for FY26 by 10%. On the back of these brokerage notes, both of these counters are buzzing. Lupin up around 1.5% in trade as of now, and Marksans gaining around 4.5% in trade. But along with that, if we talk about the whole pharma picture, Vinny, looks like that the pharma is set for a stellar rally in 2024 as well.
Absolutely. Seems like a stellar rally is in place for pharma. But that, to understand more on that, let's bring on what our experts for today. We have Kunal Bothra as well as Sharmila Joshi joining in with us. A very good afternoon, good morning actually, to both of you all as well. And Kunal, I'm going to come to you. Leaving where Shrishti actually left her point was in terms of the stellar rally that one could expect in the pharma space, because since May, June, I think mid of this year, seems like the chart started moving up when I'm looking at the Nifty Pharma Index, and a lot of these names started buzzing in trade as well. Do you think that is something that we could expect to continue? News flow around this, yes, surely shaping up well. But on the charts, what is looking attractive? How are you seeing the Pharma Index? What would be your bets in the pharma space?
Good morning. So, yes, I would be very bullish on the pharma pack overall, and I think we've seen a classic blend in the pharma pack. So for example, this year, I categorically remember started off with 3 pharma stocks doing exceptionally well. I think it's Aurobindo Pharma, Glenmark and Zydus Life, which started to show signs of very strong recovery. And then you saw, I think, mid of this year, where the large cap pharma stocks picked up pace, the likes of Cipla, Lupin, Sun Pharma, many of these larger cap names, they started to get into a strong trending mode. So we've seen both the parts playing out quite well. The mid cap end of the pharma stocks leading the charge, then the large caps playing a catch up, and even at current levels with the markets at an elevated point, we generally expect that defensives are the ones which could probably get to a selling when the market gets into a risk on, but we've not seen that happening for pharma stocks. So I would strongly believe that this could be a making of a multi-year uptrend for pharma stocks. Now, difficult to pick and choose just 1 or 2 names from the diverse basket of the pharma pack, but I will still stick with, or go with few large cap names. For example, Sun Pharma looks attractive at current levels. From the mid cap end, Glenmark, Zydus Life are the 2 stocks which I've been recommending earlier, and continue to be bullish on the stocks.
Okay, so that's the take coming in from Kunal. Continues to be bullish on the pharma space, and he also shared his top recommendations. But Sharmila, coming to you, first of all, a very good morning to you. And what's your take on the pharma space? After a couple of years, the space has been doing well, but given the fundamental picture as of now, will you be bullish on the pharma space for 2024? And any of your top recommendations?
So, just to rewind a little, I think that perhaps pharma stocks sort of came back into focus once you saw that export data, I think around March, April of this year, started to improve. And once that data started to improve, you began to see stocks reflecting that, especially the export-facing pharma play, because that was the space that was lagging. While domestic data and domestic sales were strong, I think the whole concern was with what is happening in the various markets that they're catering to, where they're exporting, especially US. So having said that, I think, that you had to come out of that, the winds, once the COVID winds went, and the kind of slump that you saw both in the diagnostic space as well as the pharma space, somewhere they had to bottom out and they had to start moving, which is what we've seen this year. Coming to next year, just the way we are ending this year, with the kind of big bang that we are ending this year, also the fact that next year is an election year and pharma is a defensive play. So I think while it will do well, to my mind, other sectors may take center stage. Simply because, the way we are poised just now in terms of earnings, the fact that we are getting into an election year, etc. So to my mind, maybe infra cement could be the spaces to really track going into this year. But that doesn't mean that pharma won't play its role. Obviously, I think that will continue to do well, but it's a defensive play, so it might be a little bit on the back foot.
Okay, that's the view that has come in on the pharma space from Sharmila. But on that note, we're going to slip into a very short break, and after the break, we'll be taking your stock-related queries. But as we slip into the break, do not forget, ET Now and ET Now Swadesh, in line with helping Indians rise with India, have partnered with Sundaram Mutual to launch Nivesh Day, a groundbreaking campaign to help viewers build their personal finance portfolios through regular and disciplined investing. Nivesh Day is being celebrated on 5th of every month. Join ET Now and ET Now Swadesh and Sundaram Mutual to learn how you can build your financial future with an SIP in mutual funds.
अब इससे बेटर इन्वेस्टमेंट है तो बताओ सेंचुरी प्लाई क्लब प्राइम रहो बेफिक्र
पानी से भरी बाल्टी जो जल्दी ऊपर लाएगा वही जीतेगा हर गेम में चैंपियन जैसी पकड़
SRMB TMT
Welcome back. You have tuned into Buy Now, Sell Now on ET Now, a show where we get you answers for all your stock-related queries. And viewers, you can connect live with us on a WhatsApp number that is flashing on the top of your screen, or you can also write to us on our social media pages. But with this, viewers, let's move forward and kick-start taking your queries. Then today onto the show, we have Kunal Bothra as well as Sharmila Joshi to guide you better. And Kunal, coming to you for the first query that I have, it's coming from one of your fans, he says, and his name is Rohit. He wants to invest for a long term in 3 picks. Couple of names he already has in mind. Those are ICICI Bank, IDFC First Bank, Devyani International and Geo Financials. Any of the stock that you like at this point in time, or would you like to advise any other name?
So Geo Financial, the history is limited, so won't be able to offer any comment there, especially from a long-term play. But at least so far it looks like that the 200 level, 200, 220 mark seems to be a good support zone for Geo Financial. So maybe you can consider buying the stock at those levels, at least as of now, looking at the support. And for the other 3 names that you mentioned, ICICI Bank, IDFC First Bank, as well as the third one was Devyani International. I think all 3 of them are very attractive in terms of the charts. Now, you have to also understand the concern that these stocks, for example, the 2 names, ICICI Bank and IDFC First Bank, there have been gross underperformers in the last 4-5 months. So, there was a point where the private sector banks stocks have rallied, but ICICI Bank and IDFC First Bank have not participated in the same gusto. So, I would probably believe that hopefully in the first quarter of 2024 calendar year, we may expect these stocks to get to a zone of covering up their underperformance. So it's a good strategy to stay with them because if the bank nifty and the banking rally gets a bit more stronger, then these underperforming stocks should participate in the second leg.
Sharmila, this next query we have is from Vishal from Dubai, and this one is on, overall the railway stocks, railway sector. They want to know, and they want to start making investment in this sector. So for the long term, anything that is looking attractive that they can start making an investment, something like an systematic investment plan for the railway stocks. Is that something you would advise, and which stocks?
Yes, I think to do a systematic investment plan would be the best approach, and there could be a couple of themes that you could look at. One is, of course, that whole PSU theme. So you could have one stock from that space. So you could have an RVNL or something along those lines, or a Titagar Wagons or something, which is directly a PSU which is catering to railways. One other space to look at could be the private space, which could be stocks which are supposed to benefit, for instance, from the whole Kavach program. So stocks like an HBL Power. And third could be a stock like an IRCTC, which is a railway stock, but not really a part of this whole the railway theme that is playing out just now. Because IRCTC in that sense has its own distinct story. So probably to my mind, a good approach would be to make a basket of stocks and to do an SIP as they were thinking of anyway. Because that in that way you're sort of safeguarding yourself, because a lot of these stocks have seen run up. And in terms of PSU stocks, while you do get large size orders, etc., these orders are of fairly long gestation periods. So which is why I think it makes sense to do a staggered buying and have a sort of a basket of.
Okay, moving on then, and Kunal, coming to you, this query is from Kanchan from Bangalore, and she is holding shares of ITDC from a price of 470 rupees. She can still wait for 1 more month. Good time to book out profits. Actually, it's not in profits, it's even Steven for her as of now. But what's the advice in next 1 month? Any hopes on more returns?
Well, yeah, I think you can consider holding on to the stock. So on the quarterly basis, specifically, the stock is showing some pickup in volume. So as you can see, I think the volumes on the quarterly basis is almost 2x, 2.5 odd x compared to the previous 3 or 4 quarters on a trot. So that indicates that the prices are, or the visibility is getting back into the stock, the trading activities come back into the stock. and the prices are inching towards a breakout. So I think the previous high for the stock, swing high, was around the 464 mark, and the stock is coming very close to that kind of a breakout. So maybe give it another 2 or 3 months, extend your time horizon a bit more. But I believe that if the breakout happens, you may expect the stock to come back towards even 600 levels over the near term.
Kunal, there's one more query, a short-term query that has come in, and a technical view that Sushil wants, and this one is on Greaves Cotton. They're holding 2,000 shares at a price of 141. What should they be doing with this now?
Well, I think you should hold on to the stock. The last 2 or 3 days, we've seen good pickup of volumes for Greaves Cotton. It's come back towards 148, if I'm not wrong. And the previous high for the stock has been around 200 levels. That was seen in mid of 2022, which means it's gone through its own fair share of correction and is now looking attractive back again. So I think you should continue to hold on.
Okay, Sharmila, the next query is on two chemical names. Rebecca is holding shares of alkyl amines from a price of 3,300, and she also has Fine Organics from a price of 5,851 rupees. Sitting at a loss in both of these, good time to average out where she can continue holding these for the next 1 to 2 years.
So alkyl amines, I would recommend a hold. I don't think the stock will go up in a hurry, very honestly. And in terms of valuation, it is looking a little rich. But overall, this is a good place. So I think you can continue to hold this. But as I'm saying, probably your investment horizon would have to be that 12 to 18 month kind of an horizon. Coming to Fine Organics, here again, I think you can continue to hold, but perhaps I think between the two, I prefer an alkyl amine. But for now, I think at this level, you can continue to hold Fine Organics. I think when it comes to sort of a 5,100 level, sort of revisit the stock.
Right, Kunal, this next one is coming your way. We have Hitesh who wants to know on two stocks, Dabur and Lodha. Is it a good time to enter both these stocks?
Well, I'm not too much of a fan for macro developers because of the price performance for the stock price compared to the other relative peers. And I think the two names which I've been highlighting time and again are the likes of DLF and Anantraj Industries from that space. So both of them, they still look attractive to be on the charts if you're a long-term investor. So if you have that kind of a risk appetite as well as a time frame, I would suggest to go with them. Dabur, on the other hand, is still languishing into a corrective phase. So my sense is that the stock should continue to do that over the near to medium term. So it depends on your time horizon. If you are looking at 3 months time horizon, then I would suggest to stay away from the stock. But if you're looking at another peer, then I think HUL or Marico stands to be a much more better chart.
Okay, Kunal, the next query is from Madhusudan, and he's holding shares of Naveen Fluorine from a price of 3,600 rupees. Sitting at small profits in this one. What's the outlook going ahead?
So I'm bullish on the entire specialty chemical space, and I think, in fact, over the last many weeks, we've been highlighting SRF, Aarti Industries, Atul, etc. as strong breakout candidates. I would believe Naveen Fluorine could also try and get into a breakout mode. So if you have holding on to the long positions, I would suggest to continue to do that. The breakout point for the stock is around 4,000 mark. So I think there was a touch and go movement towards 39.40 a few weeks back for the stock price, but I believe a second comeback or a breakout of the resistance could lead into a strong uptrend. So stay put.
Sharmila, we have Venkatraman from Hyderabad who wants to know on Nestle. So they want to know, is it the right time to start looking at Nestle for the long term? Because given that, they have announced the split also coming in, so should they invest now or maybe wait for the split and then make the investment?
So frankly, from a longer term perspective, it's never a wrong time for Nestle. So, these are the stocks that will always reward long-term investors. And I think even as consumers, it's never a wrong time to invest in Nestle. So yes, I think go ahead, once again, take a sort of a staggered buying approach.
Okay, so that's the take coming in on Nestle. But with this, viewers, it's time to slip into a very short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're still tuned into Buy Now, Sell Now on ET Now, and let's keep it going with all your stock-related queries. And Kunal, coming to you for the next query. This one is on Latent View. Winsett is holding 100 shares at a price of 472 rupees. What's the outlook and how is the technical setup looking like?
It's a stock which has gone through a recent correction from 500 to 450. It's a good setup for the stock because it indicates that the correction has now brought the stock back towards its short-term, mid-term moving averages. So I think it's a good time where you can look to even average as well as hold on to the stock.
Sharmila, this next query is from Suresh from Gujarat, and this is on two banks. One is Federal Bank as well as HDFC Bank. They're holding both the stocks. So Federal Bank, they're holding 400 shares at a price of 130 rupees, and HDFC Bank 100 shares at a price of 1,658 rupees. What would you advise them to do right now? Buy, sell, hold? What is the advice for long term?
So the advice would be a hold for both. And if they wanted to buy a stock, I think it would be HDFC Bank. Especially if you're a longer term investor, I think that there is a story that is still to be played out in HDFC Bank, which you'll have to give it 2-3 years to sort of play out. So if you want to buy something fresh or add, then do that in HDFC Bank, and Federal Bank continue to hold what you already have.
Okay, Sharmila, what's your take on Senco Gold? Sudha wants to know that is this a good bet to for a long-term play?
Yes, I think so. And this was one of the few IPOs that came at a fairly decent valuation. And even at current prices, I think that this is a stock that can be considered.
Okay, right. Kunal, this next query we have is coming in from Murli from Bangalore. They want to know on Pitti Engineering. They bought it at 1,711 rupees per share recently, as well as Inox Wind. Should they purchase this share for a period of 1 year?
Well, yeah, Inox Wind you can consider buying at current levels, but then keep some powder dry in case if the stock gets into a mild bit of more correction, because the rally has been quite steep for the stock price. So I'm not sure whether you'll get that sharp correction. So even if the stock corrects say by a margin of 20-25 rupees from current levels, that could be a good starting point for you to even average further for the stock. Pitti Engineering also I think is a stock which is heading towards a breakout, but I think the recent charts indicate that the breakout for the stock is around 740-44 mark. So maybe wait out for another 20 points on the upside, and that's where you can look to enter into the stock.
Okay, Sharmila, what's your take on TFCI, that is Tourism Finance Corporation of India? Mayank Saraf is holding 5,000 shares at a price of 125 rupees. Do you believe that in the next 2 years, anything can change for this company fundamentally?
In the next 2 years? Well, I think you continue to hold. I don't know whether anything will change, but at the current price, it's looking sort of fairly priced. But at the same time, I think, given the fact that overall my sort of sector view is positive, I think you can continue to hold.
Okay, Kunal, this query is coming in from Ashish from Delhi. Firstly, he's a big fan of yours and he's thanking you for your advice so far. The query for today is on Haranba. They want to know what should they be doing with it. They bought it at 368 rupees. Continue to hold it?
I think it's a very strong short-term chart in the making. So I looked at the charts recently, and I think it's coming into a breakout point now. It's been a huge underperformer when you look at this on the long-term basis. From 900 or 870 approximately, the stock had fallen down to sub 300. But I think on the very short-term charts, it's making a comeback for itself. So now at on the verge of breaking about that 400 levels, the momentum is back on its side, and I believe that you can continue to hold on. Now, I would suggest to average only about that breakout of 400, 405 for Hiranba, because that would determine the strength of the stock as well as the buyers coming back with maybe stronger volumes. So I would suggest a hold as of now, but buy or average only further above 400, 405 levels.
Okay, moving on, and the next query that I have is coming from Sitaram Ganesh, and first of all, he's thanking the whole ET Now team for helping him through his investment journey, and majority of his queries have been answered. So good to see this message, sir. But his latest query, Kunal, is coming in on KPI Green. He wants an entry level on KPI Green where he could make a fresh investment for a long term.
So I think KPI Green is something which has done exceptionally well. I remember seeing the stock over the last 3-4 months, where from 400 levels, if I'm not wrong, the stock has jumped up to 1300, 1400 approximately was the recent high for the stock. It still looks very attractive at current levels. Now, only concern is that in case and whenever the stock gets into a correction, it tries to come back towards its 50-day moving average. That at current levels is placed at 1080-85 for KPI Green. So I would suggest to buy in two parts. You can start at current levels, and in case over the next couple of months, if there is any kind of a mean reversion or a retracement towards this 50-day moving average, approximately at 1100 mark, that could be a point where you will look to average further.
This next query, Sharmila, is coming in from Jaidevappa from Bangalore. They want to know if they can enter Amrutanjan at the current price for the long term.
Let me just take a.
Sure.
Not really. I think that there are a couple of reasons why I wouldn't. One is from a valuation perspective, it's looking fairly priced even now, and so that is of course a primary reason. And secondly, I think if you want to buy an expensive stock, it makes more sense to buy a stock where they have a slightly more diverse product line. So I would definitely prefer a Godrej Consumer or a Dabur over this. So yeah, I think in short, avoid this.
Kunal, the next query is from V. Ravichandran, and he has bought 500 shares of Rupa and Company at a price of 265 rupees. And for this whole year, all these innerwear companies haven't done well for themselves. But going ahead in the long term, do you believe that this is a good stock to invest in, and can he go ahead and invest more?
See, I don't see any reason why you should be sticking with this name, because I think over the last 1 year approximately, in fact even much more, the stock has fallen, underperformed, remain into a consolidation with no signs of volumes picking up for the stock price. So unless it breaks past about the 400 mark, 300 mark, I don't see any immediate rise in momentum for the stock price as well as a trend. So I think it's better that if you can divert your capital to some other performing names as well as sectors. Some of the stocks which we discussed yesterday, Gland Pharma, Glaxo, they look very attractive if you're looking at it from a long-term play. And I would probably add to that, a few of the other stocks today, like Tata Chemicals, which is heading towards a very strong breakout for itself.
Sure, keeping an eye on these names. But Sharmila, we have Drishti from Dubai who wants to know, is it a good time to start entering ONGC now for the long term?
Well, ONGC and that entire space is not really something that I recommend, because I think that while yes, I think the value is there, and these are companies which will have great enterprise value, etc. But just the fact that you're in a commodity that is a very sensitive commodity means that there will be some or the other government regulation changes when either prices go up a lot or go down a lot. When they went down, we had windfall tax gains. When they went up, you had something else, some other duties, etc. So I would really avoid the space. I think there are so many other stocks to choose from. I would not recommend ONGC.
Okay, moving on. And Kunal, the next query that I have is from Durgesh Mishra from Bhatni, and he has two F&O queries. He's holding Jan series futures for Aurobindo Pharma as well as BPCL. Both of the cost price for both of these is actually near to the Jan series future price as well. But do you believe that in the month of January, both of these stocks can give him positive returns?
So I'm not sure on Aurobindo Pharma from a Jan series perspective, but I think if you can probably extend the time horizon to say another 1 to 3 months, then I think the prospects could look a bit more better. BPCL looks very attractive. It's a stock which is on high momentum. I think the entire OMC pack looks very attractive. So you can consider holding on to BPCL.
Okay, Sharmila, we have this query from Debasish from Kolkata, and this one is obviously on Azad Engineering, which is just listed today, and on Inox India. Now, they didn't get any of this in obviously the IPO, but would you advise, or have you looked at both these companies in terms of fundamentally, is it good to advise even now?
Well, both IPOs were extremely attractive because of the businesses that they were in, both Inox as well as Azad. But having said that, and now that the stocks are listed, I think it always makes a lot of sense, irrespective of the IPO, that you wait for a period of at least 45 to 60 days if you haven't got allotment to buy, because then you allow all that sort of noise to settle down. You see at which price interest is coming, etc. Because the ways primary markets are moving, without doubt, a lot of people are getting in just for listing gains. So you need those people to sort of exit and the stock price to sort of find its find its level, and then I think you can buy. So both stocks are both IPOs were good, both stocks are great, but wait for a bit before you buy.
All right. The next query, Kunal, is coming in on KNR Constructions. Chandan is holding 1,000 shares at a price of 274 rupees. Can he hold this for a short term, or rather look to make a switch to PNB at this point in time?
Yeah, I think that'll be a better strategy, because KNR Construction is going through its own share of trend. I think in terms of slight underperformance, not majorly participating in the entire rally over the last 6, 8 months, 9 months for the entire market. So which means that the stock may continue to remain into that kind of a trend. So I think it's better to switch to PSU banking name. PNB could be one of the stocks which you can consider.
Okay. On that note, we're going to slip into a very short break, viewers. Don't go anywhere because after the break, we'll be continuing with all your stock-related queries. Welcome back, and you're watching Buy Now Sell Now on ET Now. And when you look at it, yes, Nifty scaling new highs as well as of now, holding on to strong gains. 21,735 is what it's holding on to, almost in the day's highest point as well. Let's keep it going with all your stock related queries then. And Kunal, this next one is from Janvi from Bangalore. You know, they've spoken about, you mentioned BL before, but they didn't manage to buy at that time. But even as of now, would you say BL is still a good time to enter the stock?
I think it's going to be a tough because the stock has already climbed up exceptionally steep in the last few weeks. I think if I'm not wrong, just about start of the month of November, the stock was at 130 and now it's at 182. It's a steep rise for the stock in the last 6-7 weeks. So I would suggest to at least wait out for some more time, not be in a hurry to buy the stock because of the steep rise as well as the elevated levels where the stock is placed right now.
All right, moving on to the next query, and Sharmila, this query is on HBL Power. Viewer named Sudha wants to know that is this a good stock to enter at current levels?
I think we just spoke of the stock a little while earlier when we were talking of railway-related stocks. So yes, I think this can be an interesting stock from within that space. In terms of valuations, it is looking fairly priced now, a little expensive. So I would suggest that you do a sort of a staggered buying approach in it. But yes, I think you can start buying the stock in smaller tranches.
Okay, Kunal, Rita from Kolkata wants to know on PCBL, they've invested at a price of around 270 rupees per share. They've bought 500 shares. They're making a loss, so should they continue to hold this, sell, and maybe buy something like an NMDC?
No, I think you can hold on. Now it's a tough one because PCBL and NMDC both are looking attractive. So difficult to choose one of them, one out of the two. If you have extra capital, then of course you can look to allocate for NMDC also. But even PCBL I think is looking attractive. So after a steep run from I think 180, 82 mid of October towards the point when the stock was at 270, 280, it's bound to be that the stock would get into a multi-week consolidation, which has happened for PCBL. But that doesn't dampen the charts, for the stock. So I would still believe that it's a hold for PCBL. And in case you have extra capital, then look to allocate for NMDC also.
Okay, Sharmila, what's your take coming in on one of the recent listing, that is ILDA? The stock was almost tripled since the listing, and Chandrasekhar wants to know at this point in time, can he go ahead for a fresh buy where he can stay invested for the next 2 years?
Well, again, I like, but I think the same advice, wait a bit before you buy. Already the stock has, the IPO was at 30, the stock is trading at 90. 96, but it's also corrected from 112. So let's not forget that. So give it a little bit more time. Let it be traded for at least 30 to 45 days, and then decide whether you want to enter the stock. So it's a stock I like, but just wait a bit.
Sharmila, I'm going to come to you again, and this one is coming in from Badri from Bangalore, and this one is on that newly listed company, Muthoot Fincorp. So yes, what is the outlook on Muthoot Fincorp? Is it a good time to enter the stock, or maybe wait for some bit of a correction here?
So in this whole all the sort of new listings that we've seen, I think probably the two stocks that have not really done too well are one was this Muthoot Microfin, and the other was the one promoted by Federal Bank. So again, I think this same argument I have, in terms of the kind of backing that the stock has, the kind of management which are their backers, everything seems to check out. But simply because it's a new listing and the stock is correcting a little, let it correct a bit and then take a call about, as I said, 45 days post listing. So for now, wait. But yes, I think this is a stock that can be considered.
Okay, Kunal, the next query is on Delta Corp. Bhagya from Hyderabad has bought 75 shares at a price of 204 rupees. Is it good to add further at current levels where he can stay invested for the long term?
Not really. I would suggest to not to add the stock. In fact, if there is any kind of a strong rally or a sudden bout of a bounce which comes into the stock price, it could actually be a good time to try and exit the stock and shift towards a formidable large cap name.
Sharmila, we have a query. The viewer has not mentioned the name, but they would want to know that a good stock that one could invest in the defense sector for a long term.
In the defense sector.
Yeah.
I think a little while earlier you all were speaking of BEL. I think that could be a good stock that I can think of on the top of my mind, and or HAL. I think these could be, again, I think making a basket makes sense, but these are the two stocks that I like.
Okay, Kunal, the next query is on Garwari Technical Fibers. Sarojini has bought these shares at a price of close to 3,200 rupees. Can she go ahead and accumulate more at current market price?
Well, yeah, I think you can look to do that, but just a caveat. I think it's a low liquid name, so just be careful with the kind of quantity which you're looking to add for the stock. But I think in terms of the chart patterns, it's on the verge of a breakout.
Kunal, we have Ranjit from Gurgaon who wants to know on Raymond. They're holding 200 shares at a price of 1,585 rupees. Can they hold this for a period of another 6 months?
Well, I would not suggest a hold for 6 months, but I think this is a phase of a rally or a bounce which is playing out into the stock price. It's still making a pattern of lower highs and lower lows when you look at this from the September highs of 2,200 odd for Raymond. So it's very difficult to preempt that whether the stock would get into any kind of a breakout mode in the 6 months or time frame or not. So I would suggest that just watch it out over the next 1 or 2 months. In case if it's unable to surpass the previous highs of 1,800 to 1,850 mark, then I think you could probably be looking out to book profits.
All right, then with this, let's move forward and kickstart the rapid fire session. And the first query that I have is for you, Kunal. Between CEHC and IOC, any of the stock you like for a fresh investment where Tina can hold it for the next 3 to 6 months?
Difficult to choose one. I think you should go for 50-50.
Kunal, one more is this one is a Hindalco Jan futures. The viewer Chandra has short Jan futures at 615. What price should they get out now?
I think you have to have a trailing stop loss of 625 approximately.
Okay, Sharmila, from the specialty chemical space, any stock that you like at this point in time? Shiv Kumar wants to make a fresh investment in one counter for the next 2 to 3 years.
I like Amy Organics. I don't know whether that really yeah, I think that's a stock.
Sharmila, we have Jaya from Bangalore who wants to know Polyplex. Is it a good time to enter the stock for the long term?
Yes, you can enter Polyplex.
Okay, Kunal, what's any target price on Hudco? Nagesh has bought 3,500 shares at a price of 110 rupees. The stock is on the roll today.
My longer term targets are closer to 180 for the stock.
Sharmila, we have Jayarama from Bangalore who wants to know on MapMy India as well as MTATech. They're making a loss of around 4 to 5% on both these stocks. Should they continue to hold this or maybe look to average now?
I like MapMy India, so that definitely it's for me is a hold.
Okay, Kunal, can Kishore Bajaj invest 1 lakh rupees in Hindalco at this point in time?
Yeah, from a medium term play, I think it's a good stock to hold as well as buy.
Sharmila, we have Dilip who wants to know on IRFC. They have bought it at 103 rupees. Should they sell, hold, wait? What is it? What is the view?
I think continue to hold.
Okay, Sharmila, what's your take on Easy My Trip? Mohan has bought these shares at a price of 65 rupees. How are the prospects looking like for this?
A little tough because there's competition in this space. So, sort of neutral view.
Kunal, we have a viewer who wants to know on Adani Green. They have 25 shares. Should they continue to hold for the short term?
Well, yes, I think you should hold on.
Okay, but with this, viewers, it's time's up in this edition of Buy Now, Sell Now, as well as in the Rapid Fire session. Thank you so much, Sharmila and Kunal, for joining us today and helping all our viewers resolve their stock-related queries. Really appreciate that. But with this, viewers, it's a goodbye from me and Vinny and the entire team who put this show together. Thanks so much for watching, but don't go anywhere. Markets at noon will take the action ahead.
टिप चाहिए